Yay. All right, let's get some announcements. Everybody just loves announcements.
So happy to see you.
Happy to see you too. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
I was thinking about you today, Angel.
Oh, was you?
I was, yeah. You know, man, I haven't seen your adorable face in forever.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Get back together. Very good, very good. It's crazy now, right?
Yeah.
Now the crazy season
Oh,
starts because I'm a
yes.
musician.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have stuff every day for the next couple of weeks.
Oh,
thank you.
wow.
That was lovely.
It's great.
I love it.
Yes,
Keeping you busy.
yeah. So your kids are probably getting excited, a little bit excited too.
Oh, yeah, they keep asking Alexa how many days until Christmas.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh my God, that's
It used
so
to be
great.
an advent calendar back in the
Now
day.
you don't need them, you just ask Alexa or Siri, because they know everything.
Right.
I know so many people that have become addicted to their Alexa, like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they
I've
love
had
it.
my Alexa for,
That's fun.
oh God, it was the year my brother died, 2016.
Wow, you got one back in the day.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
went to her house,
Yeah.
to my brother's house,
Yeah.
when he was first in a
Yeah.
coma. And I went to visit and spend time with her, and
Did she have one?
she had one. I was like, where is
Wow.
that music coming?
Yeah, right.
She goes, oh, that's my Alexa. I'm like, who? What? Never even heard of it. So she
Yeah.
goes, yeah, it's Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon Alexa.
They're not
look it up."
expensive.
I went home and got one right
Yeah.
away. I was like, I love this stupid thing.
All right, we're gonna switch this out and then we can get this show on the road. Yeah. Whoops, I think we are. You never think about these things. All right, here we go. Yeah, very good. Let's see, how about that? Yeah, it looks like a good one right there. Okay,
Right?
I think we are ready to roll.
Oh, hello.
Good morning.
And welcome to Unity. My name is Judy Laganga. It is such a blessing to see shining lights in person here in Fredericksburg. And a big welcome to everyone joining us on YouTube. We so love having you with us here in spirit. Be sure to like and share our live stream.
Yes, yes.
In Unity, Advent is seen as a time of preparation for the awakening of the Christ nature that lives in all of us. Each week, we will light a candle representing part of our divine inheritance. The first Sunday is faith. That's today. Today's scripture comes from Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. In the revealing word, Charles Fillmore makes this distinction. Hope is the expectation of good in the future. It is subject to time. Faith is the certain knowledge that our good is ours right now. It goes beyond time and space.
Those are so pretty.
Together, do we have the affirmation?
No,
for this?
can you help us out?
Repeat after me. I look for the many ways.
I look for the many ways.
The good I seek is already mine.
The good I seek is already mine.
Today, I shift my faith to my divine nature
Today, I shift my faith to my divine nature
and feel the love, power, and strength of God expressing in me.
and feel the love, power,
and strength
strength
of God expressing in me.
Ooh, some 12 powers.
And now we offer an affirmative prayer that we usually have. Yes, no, maybe so. There we are. Together.
With peaceful hearts, we are open to the divine flow of abundance, ideas, and substance.
This morning, this rainy morning, we welcome Reverend Cheryl Fair. Yay! Reverend Cheryl Fair is a freelance ordained Unity minister and licensed Unity teacher. She has a passion for Unity principles and shares openly how using practical truth teachings have guided her through several exceptional life challenges. Cheryl serves on the Interfaith team and the LUT ministry team for Unity Worldwide Ministries, and she serves as the president of the board for Unity's Eastern region. Cheryl is a Master of Fine Arts with a 35-year career in performing arts before shifting her focus to Unity. That's her picture. Let's bless our children as we say,
We love you.
we bless you,
We appreciate you.
and we behold the Christ you are, wherever you may be.
That's right.
Our mission statement together.
We are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living.
This week's Unity principle is principle number 3.
We create the quality of our experiences through the activity of our thoughts and feelings.
So, little community news.
That's a good one.
That is, looks like my refrigerator.
I know, right?
We are celebrating Advent at Unity this year, starting with today, the Sunday of Hope and Faith. Join us next Sunday, December 4th, as we explore a time of peace with Reverend Pamela Mann. You are invited to join us each week leading up to Christmas as we explore hope, peace, love, and joy. Last week at the town hall, the Board of Trustees presented my mouth, my teeth, my brain. Last week at the town hall, the Board of Trustees presented a vision for switching to meeting virtually on Zoom for Sunday services starting in January. We are excited that Reverend Cheryl Fair, has opened to coordinate our Zoom worship. Check your email this week. Actually, I sent them yesterday.
Yes.
Check your email yesterday for an important message and survey from the board on this plan. We value and appreciate your thoughts and ideas. Reverend Cheryl is here today to provide more info and answer questions. So hurry up, get dressed, come on over. She'll return on December 11th and 18th also. Thurman, Brisbane. There it is. We will cook and serve again at Thurman Brisbane Shelter on Wednesday, December 21st. Believe it or not, we have been providing this community service for over 20 years. And you can always support, our Thurman Brisbane team by marking on your donation that it is for Thurman Brisbane. But if you go in and click on the button in the newsletter that is underneath that little picture, it goes directly to where it already is designated as Thurman Brisbane. So you can do it that way too.
Doing the newsletter.
Christmas Eve service. We will celebrate this special time of the birth of the Christ within this year here at Conscious Healing on Saturday, December 24th at 6:30 p.m. We'll have carols, scripture readings, a story, and the traditional candle lighting ceremony. Our very own Natalie Green will provide the music. We will not have service on Sunday morning, December 25th, so everyone can celebrate with their loved ones on that day. Do you have a need for prayer support? You can submit your prayer request in our prayer box here or email info@uofva.org. Our team will pray for you daily. You can also speak with a prayer partner directly at Silent Unity by dialing 816-969-2000, and you can call 24/7, 365 days a year.
You can.
Yes. Our statement of commitment. Unity of Fredericksburg stands in solidarity with all people for diversity and inclusion. This week's diversity link is a blog entitled The Archaeologist. The blog description is simply, Africa's history is human history. Let us heal as the truth will set us free. That little line was added by Janetta, by the way. Let us heal as the truth will set us free. And to learn more, you can receive our weekly newsletter. Just email info@uofva.org. Let's take a moment to focus our hearts on the people of Ukraine. Our hearts join together in prayer for the people of Ukraine. We hold the highest vision for peace and tranquility, and we give thanks knowing that God is present in every situation. Our daily word today is hope and faith. We'll do that at the end.
Okay.
Hope and faith. Hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen in faith. As Advent season begins, I say no to pessimistic or hopeless notions that may have crept into my thinking, dimming my hope and weighing on my mind and heart. Today, I say yes to goodness and positivity. I feel a sense of renewed hope dawning within me, a promise that something wonderful is on its way. In these moments, I feel my faith reborn. I reaffirm my belief that no earthly condition, no worldly circumstance is greater than spirit. This is where I place my faith, in the power, presence, love, and grace of God. As I call upon these divine attributes within myself, I perceive them more readily in others. I grow in faith that together we have the power to create the world of our highest imaginings. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. And that is Romans 15:13. And together,
Hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen in faith.
And now, I believe, it's time for Reverend Cheryl Bear.
Yay.
Good morning, everyone here in the room and everyone online.
Great to see you.
It's good to be here. It was a bit of a drive today with apparently the rain means that I ought to leave an entire hour earlier than I always already do.
Holy
So,
cow.
And also it's the it's Sunday of the
people going
Thanksgiving
home
weekend.
from,
Yeah.
so anyway, I got here barely in time. So
Just
here I am, yes. And we'll trust that that was just the right time for me to be here, right?
Right.
And
Right,
it's
perfect.
Advent. And Advent means arrival. I looked it up, it means arrival in particular of a notable person or event. And I tend to think of it as a sacred journey that we all make from, starting with the gratitude in Thanksgiving all the way through the Christmas season. And I think of the Christmas season all the way through New Year, and Epiphany to me is sort of, so, I think of it as a wonderful process, a process of new beginnings. And I find it very interesting that it happens at this time of year where we have the longest nights of the year and the shortest days, and it mirrors a lot of examples that are in nature about new beginnings. So if you think of any mammal, the infant is growing in a womb that is, dark and secure and, confined. And there's that kind of, that sacred time, that sacred space, no matter how long. I should have looked up to give us different times of how long a mother will carry, different, and it'd be great if I had those facts, but I didn't do that. I'm just thinking of it now. That's a great idea. I should have looked that up. But any of us who are parents, know that, from conception, there's this long time where things just are, growing and expanding, but it's all kind of confined. It's in darkness. And even if we look at the world of plants, of course, every seed starts underground, in the dark peace, and quiet, and eventually, as it grows, it comes up into the light. One of my favorite quotes is from a minister named Kelly Isola, and it's a simple quote, but it's something that I reflect on frequently. We grow in the dark, we bloom in the light.
Interesting.
So when we think of the phases of our lives, a lot of times our growth happens in phases that we would think of as darkness. And then once we are through that growing phase, then we bloom into the light. So, and in our human lives here, there are a lot, I always notice with the change of the season, there are the folks who really thrive on lots of sun and warm temperatures and things like that. And at least here in Central Virginia, where we have 4 seasons, I always hear a lot of complaining about it's going to be cold, and then we still are doing this time change thing 2 times a year, right? We hear that it might be coming to an end sometime, but then all of a sudden there's this quick change, and all of a sudden it's dark so early. And I don't know if you all are, if anyone here or anyone online would go, oh yeah, I'm one of those people. So it can be a really hard time for people, and so a lot of times there's some grumpiness associated with that darkness, and we also have a history of having a lot of scary stories around the dark, right? Things happening in the dark. And here in this modern world, we actually have all kinds of things that hold back the darkness. I mean, just our modern lighting keeps us. I mean, I live in the city of Richmond, and so I can say it pretty much is never actually dark, because there's a street light out front, there's a light in the alley, there's a light behind the neighbor's house. It's never actually dark. And depending on where you live, you may or may not have an experience of what it's like to actually be in the dark. Anybody here, you live far out enough in the country that it actually gets dark? Anyone? I got one hand up. Oh, another hand up. But for a lot of people, that's a rare experience. I remember when I first witnessed it, I grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in Springfield, Virginia. So, I mean, in the suburbs, there's just constantly light also. And, even when it's nighttime, if you can see the sky is still kind of, if it's cloudy, the sky is still sort of glowing. There's kind of like a purpley kind of thing to the sky. And one of the things that I did in my life, which kind of shows a pattern for me of just sort of like leaping or pushing myself into different things. When I graduated from high school, I just really needed to get out of the house and go and push myself and learn things about myself. And my dad was from Wyoming. And so I had been back and forth to Wyoming a number of times, and I can't remember how I did it, but I set myself up with a job on a dude ranch in Wyoming. And my father couldn't complain about it too much because his mother was still in Wyoming. So I apparently had the whole plan worked out, that grandma was going to pick me up at the airport, drive me to the ranch, drop me off, and then at the end of the season, she would come and pick me up. And so I had the whole thing all worked out so that, he couldn't question. My mother wasn't the questioning one, but my father would have, he liked to have opinions. So there I was out in a ranch called the Triangle X Ranch outside of Cody, Wyoming. And it was such a glamorous life of doing dishes and scrubbing toilets.
Right.
And then having
Right.
days where we basically would have to, what's called ride fence, basically go along and ride along a fence and check and nail up any part that had fallen down, that kind of thing. So very glamorous. And there were, and I remember distinctly because I had never experienced it, the first night when we were we had a bunkhouse that those of us who were working there slept in. And then we were in the lodge, and there was a large group, and we had fed them dinner, and we were doing dishes to the point that it was dark outside, and we needed to go from the lodge to the house. Well, when you're outside of Cody, Wyoming, and it's dark outside, you literally cannot see your hand in front of your face. It is that dark. And none of it, and we were all like, 17, 18, maybe the, the leaders among us might have been like 19 or something, but nobody had a flashlight.
Oh, wow.
So we literally kind of formed a human chain with whoever was, had been there a couple seasons out front, sort of leading, like, and literally, to lead our way from this over here to that over there, which wasn't a far walk, but it was, just absolute darkness. And the wonder of seeing the night sky in that kind of environment, I had never seen such a thing, because it was like seeing a black sheet of paper and just, like a handful of salt thrown across, just so many stars that you had no idea were there, and you could actually like see the Milky Way. And so it was a level of darkness that I had never experienced, and that most of us in, our modern lives don't ever experience. We tend to have little lights on our devices in our home that are shining in the night. We might have a night light here, that kind of thing. There's not a whole lot of darkness. But in nature, darkness can be that absolute, that deep, that the function of your vision is no longer relevant. Just like in the womb, just like a seed that's underground. And the darkness that happens in this time of year, in Advent, is a wonderful signal to us. It's a great reminder for us to slow down and feel your way from one thing to another, rather than just sort of charging along in your usual way. It's a time to rest, a time to heal, and it's a time for waiting, just like waiting for a baby to be born, waiting for a plant to bloom. So there's a benefit to leaning into that waiting space, that space of quiet, and tapping into patience, which can be a real challenge for a lot of people. Anybody have an issue with being patient? Ooh, I see a hand up in the back. Yeah. I can't do it. And in our modern lives, we just turn on the lights and keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. But I think there's a lot for us to learn by, nature is here telling us, shh, calm down, get quiet, just reflect. So when I was here a couple of weeks ago, we talked about, the topic was the dance of love and fear. And we talked about how, how fear is actually a sign of love being present, because it's showing you, hey, this is important to you. So I think that the darkness that happens in Advent similarly invites us to look into our own shadows. Look into those aspects of our lives, those aspects of ourselves that maybe we like to keep the light on so that we don't have to see that. But this is an invitation to look at the unloved aspects of ourselves, those memories of times when we really didn't do our best, and what can we continue to learn from that, and that rather than our usual way of turning on the lights and turning on the machine and going and going and going, is to actually turn and look into these moments, into these aspects of darkness, and befriend them, bring them along with us. In part of my ministry training, we do these kind of intensive weeks where we spend a lot of time together, and we'll have different leaders come in and speak to us. And I'll never forget, there was an expert on trauma and processing trauma who talked about with those of us who were ministry candidates, about our inclination to just like move on, get over things, get better, all that kind of thing. And her point was that all the aspects of ourselves, and if you think back to your teenage self, your childhood self, your young adult self, and where that person was, and the things that were going on with them, and the things that might have gone wrong, and the things that went well. Her point to us was that as you grow, as you learn and grow and develop and expand spiritually, you need to bring all of those versions of yourself along with you. And she literally talked about bringing them along and, like physically making a motion of like, come on with me. We're going to do this together. I'm not leaving you behind. Because who you were as a teenager, who you were as a child, still has value and has things to show you. Bring them along. Bring them along. And this time of Advent encourages us to do that and to take some time with that. And to spend some time in the candlelight, in the darkness, spend some time reflecting. Look at memories. A lot of times these holiday times can bring up memories of how things used to be that we miss, or that might be prickly memories or things like that, and to bring all of that along with us into this space and be able to say to all of our previous selves that was hard, and you did your best. And let's see what we have right here, right now, in this moment. So the theme for this part of Advent, in some places you'll see hope, and in some places you'll see faith. And in Unity we tend to combine the two. And we refer to a chapter from a verse from the Bible, from Hebrews 11, that defines faith for us. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. So that's one that brings in both faith and hope, and that's why in Unity we tend to kind of bring them both forward together. And I heard at one point, there's a minister that I learned a lot from, and I can't remember where she got it from, but she said, "Oh, but I've been taught that hope is the parent of faith, that hope is kind of there first, and as we lean into hope, then we're able to move into a space of faith." So, Judy, you already read some things that I was going to cover, but I'm going to do them again.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So glad.
So, from the Revealing Word, here's what Charles Fillmore has to say. Hope is the expectation of good in the future. It is a quality of sense mind because it is subject to time. Isn't that very Fillmorean sounding? So it's a function of sense mind. So this is an aspect of our human nature. He's saying that hope is an aspect of our human nature, and it's generally us looking into the future. Like, I hope it's going to be a nice day. I hope I will get through this, I hope that I will get that. I hope that things will go in this way. And that it's something that we do here in our human nature. I mean, I frequently talk about our human nature and our divine nature. And it's that never-ending paradox, because we are 100% divine all the time, and we're also in these bodies having a human life, and we're 100% human all the time. And what gets our focus is what we're leading with. So when we're all out in our ego and worried about the traffic and frustrated about things or sad about things in our world, we're leading with our human nature. And when we take time to take a deep breath, spend some time in prayer, spend some time in whatever your spiritual practice is, then we practice accessing everything that is ours in our divine nature. So what Fillmore is saying is that hope is something that's a function of our human nature. And I like to think of it when we talk about all this darkness is just that little glimmer of light. I know I've read some books from where, wonderful people have told stories from people, eons ago, and that there would be someone whose job it was to essentially carry the flame, so that whenever they moved from one place to another, that flame would be ready to start the next fire. So hope is kind of like that little flame that's always there, that we can feed and grow into something that is more meaningful in our lives. And it gives us glimpses of future possibilities, being in that place of hope. And we're kind of wired for hope, aren't we? We're wired for it. We just, that little flame comes up even in our darkest times. It's almost like there's only so long we can wallow in the dark before that little flame of hope is like, come on, wake up. It works with our power of life, which we'll talk about later on in Advent. So that's hope. And then faith. Faith is, and again, this is from the Revealing Word, so we've got Fillmore talking to us here. Faith is the certain knowledge that our good is ours right now. It is of God. It goes beyond time and space. So faith is that, because it's one of our 12 powers, it is that power that allows us to connect with what we call, when we talk about God being good, everywhere present, all the time. It's that faith is our capacity to conceive of that, no matter what's going on in our human lives. So our human eyes might be seeing just a hot mess, but our capacity for faith is always there to conceive of goodness being present all the time. So I'll read it again. Faith is the certain knowledge that our good is ours right now. Right now. No matter how things look in the outer world. So this is an aspect of our divine nature. This is us remembering that our source is all that is in the universe, and that is present and available for us in every moment, no matter what's going on in our outer lives. We can still tap into that. So there's also an interesting paradox with faith, because faith is often described as a sense of expectancy, because we're expecting our good. And this whole season of Advent is like we are expecting new beginnings, new birth. And it's that same thing we talk about, expecting a baby, right? And there's a sense, if you've been a mom, or if you've been around someone who's having a baby, there is this air of expectancy. I mean, you know it's coming, and you're just in that space and maybe dreaming about all the wonderful things that are going to happen. So there's expectancy, but also another thing is that patience is actually a function of our power of faith. So how patience shows up is that a lot of times in our outer lives, things take time, right? In our human lives, things take time. So say if you have an injury, it's going to take time to heal that. And so it's a function of our power of faith, because we know our good is present, that we're able to just be patient with ease. Because, we're fine. Our source is the goodness of the universe that's always present right here, right now. And we're able to take a breath and be patient with the cells in our bodies catching up, or the circumstances in our living situation, or our finances, or whatever it is going on, catching up with that which we know it's true. Because the aspects of our divine nature are without limits of time. And because it's everywhere present all the time. But it does take time in our outer lives. So we're always in this kind of like, it's the part of the paradox of being human. Yeah, it's all the time. And so faith shows us that too. It's like, look at the wonders that's coming. And in the meantime, we're able to be patient. Because we know it's all there. We know that we'll see it eventually. We know that we can always keep our divine nature as our reference point. And so it's easy to sort of just be in the moment and allow things out in the material world to just work themselves out. So, as we move into this season of Advent, just to kind of review, just some things for us to think about. I encourage you to welcome the darkness. In fact, perhaps create some time to just sit in the dark. Maybe you want to have a candle or something, but very often these days, it's like, oh, if you don't have a moment to do something, then you immediately will turn on a device or some kind of entertainment. Just be in the space. Think about human history and all of the wonderful myths of ancient cultures, include the Bible in that. All of these amazing stories came from people who, when it was dark, it was dark. And they might not be sleeping all that time. They're looking at the stars and they're plugging into the wonders of their imagination. They're not turning on a device or whatever. So allow yourself that kind of space to just be in the quiet, be in the dark, and see the wonders in your imagination. Take time to enjoy the pause and rest. A lot of us get very engaged with activities this time of year. Try to balance that out with just being quiet. Just being quiet. Take time to reflect. You might want to try starting up a particular journal that's just for Advent, just for quiet time. Spend some time in the dark. Look into your shadows. Look into what shows up to say, well, I still feel poorly about this, or I'm still upset about that thing that happened. Take some time to be with your shadows and befriend them rather than run away from them or try to fix them or anything like that. Just bring them along. Bring them along. All the previous moments of yourself that didn't go well, bring them along with you. Sit quietly. Embrace what you find there. And allow that flicker of hope around circumstances that you feel are knotted up. Allow that flicker of hope to just start blooming. And allow yourself the space to start looking for the good. Again, kind of in the darkness without screens or books or talking or any of that going on. Just allow yourself to lean into that expectation of good. And just expand your awareness of that goodness with ease so that you can faithfully move into new beginnings. This is kind of like the preparation phase for all of that. So those are all of our reminders. And right now, we're going to go ahead and move into a time of meditation around this, okay? So go ahead and, do you want me to turn the lights off? I'll do it.
Thank you.
So take a few deep breaths. And if you want, you can allow your outer eyes to drift closed, whatever it is that works for you. Maybe just soften your gaze or focus your gaze on something in your environment. And as we sit right here, right now, I'd like for you to welcome yourself from earlier times. Just welcome all of your previous selves. Just gather them in around you and bring them in to sit with you in this space right here, right now. All your previous selves are blessed and welcome here. Also welcome the energy of your ancestors. This time of year is often a time when we are thinking about how things used to be. So go ahead and welcome those ancestors and your angelic guides to sit here with you, right here, right now. Feel that flicker of hope that is always present. And where do you feel it in your body? Do you feel that flicker of hope in your belly? Is it in your heart? Is it behind your eyes? In your throat? Wherever it is that resides for you, recognize it right now. And invite your capacity for faith to hold all of this with ease, knowing that the good is always present. And from here, let us spend a few moments together in the stillness right now. Begin to bring your awareness back to this moment, back to your breath, back to the space that you are in, the seat that you are sitting on. Go ahead and wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and bring your awareness back into your body as we seal this time with gratitude, as we always do. And go ahead and allow your eyes to open, and we'll conclude with an affirmation. So here's the affirmation. I am grateful for hope and faith this holiday season. Say it with me.
I am grateful for hope and faith
this
holiday season.
Let's do it again.
I am grateful for hope and faith
this
this holiday season.
One more time. Lift the roof.
I am grateful for hope and faith this holiday season.
So it is, my friends.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
That's all right.
It's like last call. Oops,
Last call.
I passed.
Oh,
Oh, okay, where am I? Okay. Thank you so much, that was fabulous.
yeah,
Really great.
that's a great message.
It is time for our tithes and love offerings. Divine love
Through me,
blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and I am grateful. For hope and faith this holiday season. We will now offer a final blessing for our offerings that you all just did on PayPal and sent your money to us. We acknowledge the source of all that is, and we hold an attitude of gratitude for these tithes and love offerings that have been so freely given. We are so grateful for the many ways that our gifts will serve the community. And we enfold the loving souls who have requested prayers in the absolute truth of God, declaring with pure faith that all prayers are heard and responded to in the highest expression of God's will. And so it is. Amen. And the peace song, led by Chris Beal.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Ah, very nice.
Prayer of protection.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Thank you for being with us and sharing your light today. Namaste.
Namaste. That was a good one. Ah, very nice.
Are we off now?
Oh, we will be.
Lisa Vose, VOSE, she's